Sit down. Those two words felt like ice water down my spine. My mother's voice wasn't angry, it was worse. It was careful, rehearsed, the kind of tone you use when you're about to tell someone their world is ending. I looked around the living room. My father sat rigid in his chair, hands folded, eyes avoiding mine. My two siblings, Jessica and Mark, were on the couch, tissues already in hand, faces painted with concern that looked just a little too perfect. And then I saw him, Pastor David from our church, sitting in the corner with that sympathetic head tilt that made my stomach drop. "We need to talk," my mother continued. "We're all here because we love you, because we're worried about you." That's when I heard it, the word that would change everything. Intervention. I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because my brain couldn't process what was happening. An intervention? For what? "Your brother and sister came to us," my father said, his voice cracking. "They showed us things. They're scared for you." Jessica leaned forward, tears already streaming. "We just want you to get help before it's too late." "Help with what?" Mark cleared his throat. "The drugs. We know you've been using." The room spun. I don't even take aspirin without reading the label 3 times. I'd never touched an illegal substance in my life. This is insane. I'm not on drugs. I've never been on drugs. But my mother just shook her head, fresh tears falling. "Denial is part of the disease, honey." That's when I knew this wasn't about concern. What I didn't know yet was that this had nothing to do with my well-being at all. It was about money.
To understand how it got to this point, you need to understand my family. And honestly, the cracks were there from the very beginning. But before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. I'm the youngest of 3. Jessica is 35, Mark is 32, and I'm 28. But the age gap was never really the issue. It was how we were raised, or more accurately, how we were treated. Jessica was the golden child, the firstborn, the one who could do no wrong in my parents' eyes, at least until she couldn't anymore. She was popular in high school, dated the football captain, got into a decent college. My parents threw her a huge graduation party, invited the whole neighborhood, talked about her constantly. Then she dropped out sophomore year to marry boyfriend number 1. My parents paid for the wedding. 8 months later, she was divorced and moving back home. "It's just a rough patch," my mother would say. "Everyone struggles in their 20s. Mark came next, the only son, the one who was supposed to carry on the family name, take over my dad's small contracting business, be the man of the family someday. Except Mark hated construction work. He wanted to be an entrepreneur, which sounds impressive until you realize that in 15 years, he started and failed at 7 different businesses, a food truck that got repossessed, an online store that never shipped a single order, a consulting company that had no clients. Every single failure was funded by my parents. "He just needs the right opportunity," my father would insist, writing another check. Then there was me. I wasn't planned. My mother has told me that story more times than I can count, always laughing like it's charming. "You were our little surprise. We thought we were done having kids." I learned early that being the surprise meant being the afterthought. When Jessica got a car for her 16th birthday, I got a gift card to Target. When Mark graduated high school, they threw him a party and invited 50 people. When I graduated, top of my class, full scholarship to State University, we went to Olive Garden. Just the 4 of us. I'm not saying this for sympathy. I'm saying it because it explains everything that came after. Growing up, I watched my siblings get everything handed to them while I learned to fend for myself. Jessica would throw tantrums when she didn't get her way. I'm talking full-blown screaming matches, slamming doors, the silent treatment that could last for weeks. And it worked. My parents would cave every single time just to keep the peace. Mark learned a different game. He'd play the victim. Nothing was ever his fault. The business failed because his partner screwed him over. He couldn't pay rent because his boss was unreasonable. He crashed his car because the other driver came out of nowhere. Never mind that he was texting. My parents ate it up. Poor Mark, poor Jessica. Life is so hard for them. Meanwhile, I was the easy kid, the one who didn't cause problems. I did my homework without being asked, got straight A's, worked part-time jobs starting at 15.
I figured if I was the good one, if I was responsible and reliable, maybe I'd finally get the same attention they did. I was wrong. Being the easy kid doesn't make you special, it makes you invisible. When I was 17, I got accepted to 3 universities. I was so proud. I printed out the acceptance letters and showed my parents at dinner. My mother smiled. "That's wonderful, sweetie." My father nodded. "Good for you." And that was it. The conversation moved on to Jessica's latest boyfriend drama within 30 seconds. I sat there holding those letters, realizing that no matter what I accomplished, it would never be enough to compete with their chaos. So I stopped trying to compete. I built my own life, quietly, independently. I worked 2 jobs through college and graduated debt-free. I got my CPA certification, I bought my own car, my own condo, paid for everything myself. I didn't ask my parents for a dime. And you know what's funny? That made the gap even wider. Because Jessica and Mark, they never stopped needing. Jessica's first divorce was messy, then her second, then her third. Each time, my parents paid for lawyers, covered her rent until she got back on her feet, watched her kids while she figured things out. Mark's businesses kept failing. Every time he'd show up at their house with a sob story about how this one was going to be different, he just needed a little help to get started. My parents' retirement savings were disappearing into my siblings' problems. And me? I'd stop by for Sunday dinners and listen to them complain about money being tight while simultaneously planning to loan Mark another $20,000 for his latest venture. "You're so lucky," my mother said to me once. "You've always been so good with money, not like your brother and sister." Lucky. Like I didn't work 60-hour weeks during tax season. Like I didn't meal prep and budget and sacrifice so I could build something stable. But here's where the real resentment started building, and I didn't even see it happening. Family gatherings became uncomfortable. Jessica would make little comments. "Must be nice to not have kids to worry about," she'd say, watching me check my phone for work emails. "Some of us have real responsibilities," Mark would add when I'd leave early to get home at a reasonable hour. At first, I thought they were joking. Then I realized they weren't. They resented me, not because I'd done anything to them, but because my stability made their chaos look worse by comparison. When Jessica filed for bankruptcy the second time, I overheard her on the phone with Mark in my parents' kitchen. "She probably thinks she's better than us," Jessica hissed, "little Miss Perfect with her perfect condo and her perfect job. She's always been like that, cold, disconnected. She doesn't understand what it's like to struggle." I wanted to walk in there and scream. I struggled every day. I just did it quietly, without making it everyone else's problem. But I didn't say anything. I never did. And that's exactly what they were counting on. Everything changed the year my father turned 65. He started talking about retirement, about estate planning, about making sure everything was fair and settled before he and my mother got too old to handle their affairs. Sunday dinner became a business meeting. My parents wanted to discuss their will, their assets, their plans. The house was worth about $800,000. There was a retirement account, some investments, and a small commercial property my father bought in the 90s that generated rental income. "We want to split everything 3 ways," my mother said. "Equal shares for all of you." I watched Jessica's face tighten. Mark shifted in his seat. "Equal?" Jessica said carefully. "Even though some of us have more expenses, more needs?" My father frowned. "You're all our children. It's equal." Mark jumped in. "But Dad, think about it practically. I'm trying to build a business. Jessica has kids to put through college eventually. We have more financial pressure." "That's not how inheritance works," I said quietly. 3 sets of eyes turned to me. "What's that supposed to mean?" Jessica snapped. "It means Mom and Dad's assets should be divided equally. What you do with your share is your business." "Easy for you to say," Mark shot back. "You don't have real problems. I have the same problems as everyone else. I just handle them differently." The table went quiet. My mother looked uncomfortable. My father cleared his throat. "The decision is made," he said firmly. 3 equal shares. That's final." But I saw the look Jessica and Mark exchanged, and I should have known right then that they weren't going to let it go. About 2 months after that dinner, Jessica started calling me constantly. "Hey, just wanted to check in. How are you doing?" At first, it seemed sweet.
Maybe we were finally going to have a real relationship. But then the questions got weird. You sounded tired on the phone yesterday. Are you sleeping okay? You've lost weight. Are you eating enough? Are you stressed about something? I drove past your place last week and your car wasn't there at midnight. Where were you? That last one made my skin crawl. She was driving past my condo at midnight? Why? Mark started doing it too, showing up unannounced at my apartment. Just wanted to see my little sister, he'd say, but his eyes would scan my living room like he was looking for something specific. One time he walked straight to my kitchen and opened my trash can. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Oh, sorry, looking for a paper towel." The paper towels were on the counter, right in front of him. He was searching through my garbage. My parents got weird too. Sunday dinners felt like interrogations. "You seem distracted lately," my mother would say, studying my face. "Work is busy, it's tax season." "Are you sure that's all it is?" "Yes, Mom, I'm sure." But she'd keep watching me, like she was waiting for me to crack and confess to something. I started to feel paranoid, like I was being watched constantly, judged, evaluated. Then one night, I stopped by my parents' house to drop off some tax documents. I let myself in through the side door, calling out to let them know I was there. No answer. I headed toward the kitchen, and that's when I heard voices coming from my father's study. "We just think it's best to wait," my mother was saying, "until she gets the help she needs." I froze. "I agree," my father replied. "We can't risk leaving her a third of everything if she's going to use it to destroy herself." My blood went cold. "Jessica and Mark have been so responsible through all of this," my mother continued, "trying to help their sister, keeping us informed. Maybe we should consider adjusting things." They were talking about the estate, about cutting me out, because of something Jessica and Mark had told them. That's when it all clicked. The phone calls, the surprise visits, the weird questions. They weren't checking on me. They were building a case. I left without making a sound and sat in my car, hands shaking. Then I got calm, really calm. If they wanted proof, I'd give them proof, just not the kind they were expecting. I called Dr. Patricia Morgan, my primary care physician, the next morning. "I need your help with something," I said, and explained everything. She didn't hesitate. "Come in tomorrow, I'll clear my schedule." She ran every test possible: blood work, urinalysis, full toxicology screening. Everything came back clean. Of course it did. She compiled 6 years of medical records and wrote a detailed statement. "If you need me there in person," she said, "you call me, day or night." 2 weeks later, Jessica called. "Hey, so we're all getting together Saturday at Mom and Dad's. Can you come?" "Sure," I said. "I'll bring a friend, someone who's been really supportive." A pause. "Who?" "You'll meet her Saturday." I called Dr. Morgan. "They're doing it Saturday. Are you available?" "Absolutely." Saturday at 2 o'clock, I walked into my parents' house. Chairs in a circle, my parents together looking devastated, Jessica and Mark on the couch with tissues, Pastor David, and a woman I didn't know. "This is Miss Richardson," my father said, "a substance abuse counselor." They'd brought a professional. Miss Richardson had a script, notes about my concerning behaviors, weight loss, isolation, mood changes. Jessica cried on cue. "We love you so much. Watching you destroy yourself has been killing us." Mark played his part. That's what addiction does. It isolates you. They had it all planned. A rehab facility, a bed waiting, starting Monday. My mother took my hand. "Please, baby, please let us help you." I looked at each of them. Then I said quietly, "I brought someone with me today, someone I think you should meet." The doorbell rang. I opened the door to Dr. Morgan, in her white coat, stethoscope visible. We walked back into that living room together. "Everyone, this is Dr. Patricia Morgan, my physician for 6 years." My mother went pale. Jessica's mouth opened. "Dr. Morgan, could you tell my family about my medical history?" She didn't need notes. "I've treated her since 2019. I've never prescribed controlled substances. I've never seen any indication of substance abuse. Her medical history is remarkably clean." She handed my father the papers. 6 years of documentation, blood work, complete medical records, and, as of 3 days ago, a full toxicology screening, all negative. The silence was deafening. "These tests can be faked," Jessica said desperately. "People do it all the time." Dr. Morgan's expression hardened. "I supervised the collection myself. These results are legitimate, and I can provide verification from the lab director." "Then she's hiding it," Mark jumped in. "Addicts fool doctors." "In 6 years," Dr. Morgan said coolly, "I know what substance abuse looks like. This woman shows none of the signs."
This is ridiculous, Jessica stood up. We've seen things, behaviors. What behaviors? Dr. Morgan asked. Specifically, she's lost weight, she's distant, always tired. I lost 8 pounds because I started meal prepping and going to the gym. I'm distant because you interrogate me every time we talk. And I'm tired because I work 50 hours a week during tax season. My father was reading through the records, page after page, contradicting everything. You can't trust these, Mark said desperately. But I can trust you? I looked at my brother. You, who's borrowed money 6 times in 3 years and never paid back a dime? His face flushed. I turned to Jessica. And you, 3 divorces, 2 bankruptcies, but I'm the one with the problem? Don't you dare. I overheard you, I said. 2 months ago, in Dad's study, talking about the estate, about cutting me out because of my addiction, about how responsible you two have been. My mother's head snapped toward Jessica. You what? The timing is interesting. Dad starts talking about retirement and estate planning. You two suddenly become concerned. You start documenting my behavior. You convince our parents I'm on drugs, and that makes you look stable, trustworthy, deserving of more. Jessica's mouth opened and closed. No tears now, just panic. Why did you do this? My voice cracked. Why did you try to destroy me? Mark tried to recover. We were genuinely concerned. If we were wrong, we're sorry, but our hearts were in the right place. Your hearts, Dr. Morgan said sharply, convinced 2 loving parents that their healthy daughter needed institutionalization. Do you understand how damaging that is? My father set down the papers, hands shaking. Get out, he said quietly. Dad, Jessica started. Get out of my house, both of you. They left. Miss Richardson apologized profusely and followed them out with Pastor David. Dr. Morgan squeezed my shoulder and left quietly. My parents sat in stunned silence. I'm so sorry, my mother cried. I'm so sorry. We believed them over you, my father said, staring at his hands. I sat on the floor in front of their chairs, exhausted. They're my siblings, I said. Part of me kept thinking there had to be some misunderstanding. There's no excuse, my father said. What they did was calculated. It was cruel. We sat like that for a long time. Eventually, my father spoke. We're changing the will. They showed us exactly who they are. I don't want you to do anything out of anger. This isn't anger. This is clarity. That was 8 months ago. Jessica and Mark have tried to reach out. Apology texts, cards claiming they were just trying to help. My parents don't respond, and neither do I. The will was changed, not to cut them out entirely, but to reflect what really happened. My parents and I are rebuilding trust. It's slow, but it's real. Here's what I learned. Being calm doesn't mean being weak. When someone tries to destroy you, don't match their chaos. Get evidence, get proof, get truth that can't be argued with. Because lies rely on emotion. They rely on tears and performance. But truth just has to exist. My siblings thought I was the easy target, the quiet one who wouldn't fight back. They were right about one thing. I didn't fight back the way they expected. I showed up with the truth. And sometimes that's the most powerful weapon you can have. If you've ever been falsely accused by your own family, drop your story in the comments. Sometimes it helps to know you're not alone. If this taught you anything about keeping your cool when people try to destroy you, hit that like button. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.